that are listed on the agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. Board members, have you had an opportunity to look over the agenda, and are there any changes that need to be made? Mr. Jolly?
No, I have no additional changes.
All right. And Member Elba, do you have anything that you want to add under new business?
Only the things that I sent out the email to.
So, because we already had the agenda completed, would you like to make a motion then for those items?
You don't need a motion to add the item.
Yes, we do.
I just want to add the things that were sent in the email.
Well, we'll do it by way of motion. So if there's no motion, then we'll move on to item 1.5. Okay, item 1.5 is public participation. Dr. Rock, do you have any cards?
Do we have to make a call on 1.4, though, approval of the agenda?
Oh, I apologize. Yes, we do. Thank you. 1.4 is the approval of the agenda. Hearing no changes, no motions to add anything. Any questions or comments? Okay, I need a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve 1.4 on the agenda, approval of the agenda, August 11th, 2016, informational board meeting.
A second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba?
No.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes, motion passed, 4-1.
It's 3-1.
3-1, thank you. 1.5 is public participation. Do you have any cards?
Yes. We have Bill Lavezzi,
Yes.
and he's running for the State Board of Education.
Okay, come on down. You please speak at the podium. We would like for you to state your name and address, and let us know why you're here. Yeah, the podium is fine. I said podium, but that's okay.
Board. My name is Bill Lavezzi, and I am here as a candidate for the State Board of Education. This is not a campaign appearance. This board has important business to do, and I will take off, and I will look around the Board of Education in District 11 to introduce myself as a candidate. District 11, the State Board of Education, includes Senate Districts 21, 22, and 25, which is a swash of northeastern Ohio that starts in the far end of the Berea School District, runs through Cleveland and the surrounding suburbs, and up into Lake County, and then somewhere on the eastern, northeastern end of Painesville schools. So it's a large district. They're all large districts in terms of the numbers of members that they have, but it's a large and very diverse district here in the state of Ohio. It's got 27 school districts within its boundaries. My hope is to make it to most of those school districts, to introduce myself to their superintendents, to their boards of education, and to the citizens in those communities. Because I believe that it's very important that the various local school boards within this district know who their representative on the State Board of Education is, so that they know who they can talk with about matters that concern their Board of Education. I do want to mention, before I get too much involved in that, what a pleasure it is to be here in this school. 45 years ago, I began my teaching career in this building.
Wow.
And the Board of Education at that time was meeting in this room pretty regularly.
Wow, okay.
I supervised study halls in here by day, and we met around in the day. So it's really wonderful to come back here where my teaching career began. It seems to be something that happens in my family. We live in Bedford, and our daughter is a kindergarten teacher in the school where she went to kindergarten. So we apparently hang around and go back to the place that we started.
Very nice.
Public education is an important topic. It's an important topic to the people who attended this meeting. It's an important topic to this Board of Education here. The State Board of Education is involved in setting rules for the schools of the state, supervising the superintendent of public instruction, and advocating for school policies that will improve instruction. And that's my goal, is to have that position. And advocating involves, I believe, developing a constituency of support for public education. public education is under something of an attack these days. People who claim to be interested in reform have instituted a number of reforms that, in my opinion, don't do much to reform public education, and in some ways have created a problems for our students and for our community. And my hope as a member of that board is to unite school boards like this one with educators, with parents, with administrators, and other people who believe in public education to make a constituency for powerful, effective public schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We certainly wish you well on your campaign, and we thank you for coming and speaking with everyone today. All right, thank you, sir. So moving right along with the rest of the agenda, item 1. Do we have any other cards for public participation? No? Okay. 1.6 is superintendent's updates. Did you have an update today?
Yes, I do have an update. Greetings, community. I'd just like to update the community and board on about 6 items that's on the agenda for us. First, the opening of school is on August 22nd. Currently, we need 2 teachers. We had 2 teachers resign. We had a teacher who we hired recently who moved back to Alabama at the last minute, so we're in the process of finding a replacement for that teacher. We also are looking for a gifted teacher, another teacher who found employment in another district. So Ms. Hunt and her team is actively working hard to ensure that we have teachers in every role for the start of school. Today we had new teacher orientation. We had 28 teachers today. At our orientation, each department came and spoke to our teachers, gave them a rundown of the district, the positives. The union came and spoke. But we had a special group come, which were the retired principals. Oh, no, I'm sorry, the retired teachers, Ms. Talley, Mr. Winston, and 3 others came, and they spoke to the new teachers about the value of being a teacher, what it means to be a tiger. They talked to them about professionalism, how to dress, how to treat parents and teachers. All feedback from their interchange with our new teachers was very positive and uplifting. Our next item I'd like to announce to the community and update you on is our Health Academy, our partnership with Tri-C. We finalized our agreement with them this week. We have 12 students who will be enrolled in our Health Academy. The classes will be taught here at the high school. So our kids would take 2 classes here at the high school, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Tuesday and Thursday is the separate classes. They'll be taught by Tri-C teachers. So the teachers would come here and teach our students. We'll have a ribbon cutting on August 18th in room 262, the day of our pep rally, where our scholars will receive their white coats to kick off the program. Also, our firefighter academy will be starting on the first day of school. On the agenda tonight, we have our 2 instructors who are licensed firefighters. They will be credentialed through the alternative certificate program, in which if you are in the industry, if you have 4 years experience, we can get you an alternative certificate. These 2 young men have over 10 years experience both, and they're excited about the 8 scholars that we have enrolled in that program. Also, yesterday we met with all 3 police chiefs from the Tri-City communities. They all 3 pledged their support for the program to provide materials, also to provide opportunities for ride-alongs and other things. So they will be part of the advisory board for the Firefighter Academy. Also, we had our Meet the Principals night. We had our first one on Tuesday at John Dewey. It was attended, probably about 30 parents attended. Principal Vaughn did an outstanding job of sharing his vision.
Was that Eastwood?
I'm sorry, Eastwood on Tuesday. I apologize. Principal Vaughn did an outstanding job of sharing his vision for the new school year. Also, yesterday we had a Meet the Principals night at the middle school. It was well attended. Even though it was raining, the pictures are on Facebook. Alexia did an outstanding job of promoting that. Our next one will be on Monday, August 15th at John Dewey, where Principal Thompson will entertain the community. Last two items is high school busing. I wanted to share with the board and the community that we are exploring high school busing. Mr. Black has done all the preliminary work to get busing back to our high school at no cost, additional cost. We bought the routing system, which has made the routes more efficient, which we'll be able to offer it. But we do have legal issues that we have to address in being able to move forward. Once those legal issues are addressed, we will bring a resolution to the board, which then will authorize us offering busing to our high school students. Again, there's attendance. We have a lot of tardiness at the high school, and that's due to the long walks that students have coming here. And we believe that if we reinstitute busing at the high school, it will assist our learning. Then last, I want to give a update on the Ohio Facilities Commission and where we are in that process. Last week, Dr. Rock and I met with the Ohio Facilities Commission to get an update of what our standing was. We are right in line to be approved. Our fate will be determined by the November election. Based upon what issues pass in the election will determine if we are approved in January. If we are approved in January, then we have 13 months to secure funding for the new schools. So the next few months, we will be coming back to the community. Dr. Rock is working very hard to figure out the best way to fund these buildings with the least cost to the taxpayer. And that's our whole goal, is to make this the least cost to the taxpayer, but to get our 2 new buildings and a renovated high school for our middle school. So that is our goal. We will be coming back very soon with a pathway to get our school buildings. That concludes my report at this time.
Okay, board members, does anyone have any questions or comments about the items that he just reported on?
I have none.
I'm good. Oh, I'm good, thank you. All right, so we now move to the treasurer's report and financial recommendations. So, Dr. Rock, the floor is yours.
Can I approach the board to pass out a handout?
You sure can. And while you're doing that, I'll just take a moment to explain again that this is an informational meeting. And while we would prefer not to do a lot of voting, we will be doing some voting this evening, but the overall intent is for the board to get information to vote on the items for the next meeting.
Okay, on my update, there's 5 items. The first item is a follow-up. We set up a Star Ohio account, just received our authorization, so we will be moving money into that account to maximize our opportunity to maximize our interest revenue. And then after we get into that, then we will develop a plan and present that to the board to also look at our short-term investable money and our long-term, because then we could take the next step on that. And of course, that would all be board approved and shown to the board. But right now, just moving it to Star Ohio, we're going to get 0.5% return versus 0.005.
Very good.
The purchasing process, Mr. Folkman, the business manager, and myself are working on administrative guidelines for that, but we're keeping it simple right now. In all of the meetings that we go to, I'm presenting to the staff like we did today for the new teachers orientation. And the golden rule is before we spend anything, there has to be a requisition. So if you had that requisition prepared, that solves a lot of the problems and it prevents the then and nows. So that's what we're starting with. We're starting with something simple, and we will have a follow-up flow chart to have that out to the staff, and then as Mr. Folkman and I get more detailed on that process. But just to keep it simple, to make sure that there's a requisition first. If you have that, that's 90% of the battle. The third item is there will be some super blanket purchase orders that will be on the agenda at the board meeting coming up on August 25th. And this is part of our budget for the whole school year. Utilities, which will cover gas, electric, and water, and that'll be presented and determined then, but you set up a super blanket purchase order that covers you through the whole school year. Along with that, we'll also have the super blanket purchase order for substitute teachers. where we pay for our substitute teachers to the Educational Service Center. And that right now is determined at $350,000 based on last year's activity, and review with Mrs. Hunt from the Human Resources. The fourth item is, this is what we're headed towards this season, this part of the season. Permanent appropriations will be due, they're due by the key timelines for, so we will present those on the September 22nd board meeting. That's our whole budget, the permanent appropriation. So, and we're starting to put those pieces together. Mr. Jolly and I have finished the building budgets and some other budgets. So it's just, once you get all those pieces of the pie together, then you'll get to see the whole detail and ask as many questions or dig into. We'll have all the data for that, for the budget, for the whole school year. Then after you do that, October is the 5-year forecast season. So the October 5-year forecast is due by the end of October, October 31st. So we will have that presented to the board October 27th by that board meeting. So those are the next, that's the horizon for school finance for us. So we're working very hard in the treasurer's office to accomplish these goals, and what we have to, because they're the deadlines. And then the last one was continuing education for the CFO and CEO of a school district. I did some research, met with a colleague, and some of the trends that are out there, there's not much board policy for continuing education for those two positions, but one of the trends was establishing a budget, and then that's a budget line that's in your permanent appropriations, and then you're set for the year, and then if it goes over, then of course you have to see the board for permission. That's one of the ways of doing it. Another way is, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought on that. And then another one is if the school holds the membership, in other words, they hold a membership for OSBA or OASBA, which is one for treasurers, or NSBA, or any of those, and we're going to those conferences, the board just does a blanket authorization saying you could go to any of those ones that, if the board holds a membership in it, the treasurer and superintendent can go to those with just sign off from the board president. So those are the two trends that we're seeing out there with some of the research that I've done. But we haven't found any board policy that that specifically says, board policy on conferences for the treasurer or superintendent. And usually the concept is board policy is more concept-driven and philosophy-driven. And then under that, you have your guidelines and your actual operational rules and movements. So that's some of the findings that I found on that topic.
Okay,
And then
thank
that
you.
completes my update.
Before I go, does anyone have any questions or comments about any of the items that he included in his update?
I do have a question for you, Dr. Rock, on your item 3, super blanket purchase orders for the utilities, gas, and electric and water to be determined. That's for all 4 buildings?
Yes, it'll be for the whole district.
Okay. And you're looking at actual bills from 2015, I guess, school year?
Yes, we'll review the bills, and then we'll also review the prior year to see if it was a cold year or a hot year. And Mr. Folkman will participate with me with that also, and we'll pull together our experience and come up with a budget.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I do want to add that Dr. Rock is doing an outstanding job of getting departments' budgets and principals' budgets. This is great for our district because people know the constraints they have within their department. So I did want to commend him on his work in ensuring that each school has a budget, and we're working, and as he works on the departments, I just wanted to give him a lot of kudos for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I got one or two questions. So back to number 3 with the substitute teachers. To me, $350,000 seems like a lot of money. Is it possible to come up with a comparison of where we were last year with substitutes? And I know that's dependent on, what's going on with the teachers. We might have had a teacher that was out for a whole year, but I would like to see a comparison. Does anybody have any concerns with that request? Asking for a comparison for last year before you do the super purchase order?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I mean, in your comparison, you can even speak to the fact that, we know that we had a teacher that was out, or, whatever the extenuating circumstances are.
Yes, because if you go back further, it's even higher. So this
Okay.
was what we were capturing was 6 months when we started at the ESC. We started in January, so we have 6 months to look at. So we looked at that history.
And ESC is, how does that work with ESC again?
They're responsible for the accountant and the calling of the subs. So they work for the ESC, and then they're assigned to us.
So we're no longer using the substitute management system, or is that still through the substitute management system that we board approved back in February, I think? Right?
Yeah, that's what we're using through the
Okay.
ESC.
They're just reconciling everything. is
They're
that it?
reconciling everything. Yep.
Okay.
Payroll, everything. We
Thank
just
you.
cut them a check.
Okay.
And that's a great move for the district. Otherwise, if you handle your own substitutes, you may be cutting an extra 200 checks every payroll just for substitutes.
Okay.
I've seen it before.
Okay.
And then you have to handle all their payroll records, all of that whole function is handled down at the Educational Service Center, and then we pay them the fee when we use substitutes.
Okay.
We're not using substitutes, we're not paying no fees.
Okay. And then I just want to touch base for a minute on number 5, where you were discussing the information as it pertains to conferences and continuing education for yourself and Mr. Jolly. So Member Moomin is not here, and I'd really kind of like to get her to weigh in on this as well. But what I'm hearing is there's one of two choices. We could either establish an overall budget based, again, on prior, conference attendance, or the second one, was that some type of policy, or is that just a memorandum? How would you go about, what was the recommendation for the second one?
It could be written in the contracts, and it would say that the treasurer or superintendent in their respective contract can attend conferences and continuing education, and that it would only require the president of the board's approval, as long as the district is a member of the sponsoring program. So that could cover, NSBA, OSBA, and most of that will cover, a lot of the things we go to. OSBA, they're not very expensive, but it's, set up for treasurers and superintendents and board members.
Okay.
So as, for example, for like the treasurer, the board pays for my membership in the OASBO, which is the Organization of School Treasurers, Business Officials. So if you had that policy, if I went to an OASBO function, which is going to be in Ohio, more than likely in Cleveland or Columbus, then that would be covered under that language.
Okay. Why don't we kind of think that one over just a little bit, and I'll give Member Moomin a call and let her know what you found out, and maybe we can revisit this again
Yes.
at the next meeting, if you guys are good with that.
And I have some sample language on its way.
Okay.
So this
all
was
right.
just fact.
All right,
Just
well,
wanted
that
to
sounds
report-
good.
Report in.
So I have a
Go
question, Dr. Rock. So are you saying you would do either one or the other, or would you still look to establish a budget? Because I'm assuming some of the continuing ed that you guys attend would be outside of our member organizations.
Yeah, so if it would be outside of that, then you would come and get that would be board approved, and that would capture the extraordinary seminars.
So you'd either seek board approval, or you'd put it in a budget, and if it exceeded the dollar amount budgeted, then it would have to.
Exactly. Anytime it would exceed the budget, we would be coming for permission from the board and presenting the situation.
And that's a good way of keeping control of it.
Dr. Rock, how
Yes.
many are already in your contract?
How many,
Organizations are already in your contract?
2.
How many are in yours?
2.
That you chose, right?
They were already here. It was BASA.
Did you choose them?
I didn't choose them. They were already.
That you should have chose your own things in your contract. Did you choose yours?
Yes, but it's standard operating.
No, I'm just asking if you
The
choose because you.
superintendent's gonna go to BASA, and I'm gonna go to OASBO.
No.
Right.
And it's not to say that if there's some additional organizations that at some point you think are beneficial, you could always bring it to the board's attention, so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm only a member of one. It's BASA. That's it.
And then I think we're all part of OSBA,
That's for school board
right,
members.
yeah. But you guys
And
take
then we're
advantage of
covered
it as well.
members Also,
Yeah.
yes.
So, okay. All right, well, thank you very much. Did you want to have a discussion about your cash reconciliation report and how you're going to be doing that?
Yes.
We do have it on the agenda as 2.2, even though I know you're not actually giving a report or submitting a report this time.
Yes. What we wanted to propose is if we move this to the regular business meeting, we'll be able to capture the current month. So like right now, we're approving June. And now in the office, we're closing July. If we had this if the board was approving the reconciliation later in August, you'd be able to capture July and you would be in the current month, at least the most current closing. So it's up to the discretion of the board, but if we do that, we could catch up and then we would be more in true time.
Correct. So does everybody understand what he's saying? It would still be listed on the agenda, 2.2 cash reconciliation, and it would probably say for July instead of June by the time the next meeting comes
Yes.
up, and then you'll be able to present more current data.
Yes.
Okay.
So like right now, we're presenting it informationally, and then you're gonna approve it later in the month. But if we can include July in there, and June and July, then we'll be up to date, and then at the September meeting, we'll just do August.
Gotcha.
It'll catch us up.
Okay. All right. So there is not a cash reconciliation report at this time. It will be ready for the next meeting, and that's the way we'll do it from here on out, unless anyone has any objections.
None from me.
Okay, thank you. All right, so again, this is an informational meeting. Did we need to vote on item number 3, the resignation?
Yes, yes.
All right, so under superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action administrative staff, can I please have a motion to accept the resignation, 3.1?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve 3.1 resignation of Angela Christopher, Middle School Assistant Principal, effective July 29th, 2016.
May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved by Member Freeman and second by Member Mitchell. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator.
Yes. Motion passed, 4-0.
3.2. I do want to put dates on here. The date should be on here. It should state 8/22 to 6/2017. That's on 3.2.
It is on
there?
here.
I don't see it.
It's
Next
on
page.
ours, so
Okay.
she must
I must have
that
a different copy.
Yeah.
Okay, I must have a different copy.
So, I guess we could have did it as a consent agenda, but I didn't catch it. That's what kind of threw me. So, can I please have a motion for 3.2 substitute administrators?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve 3.2 employment substitute administrators beginning August 22nd, 2016 through June 2nd, 2017.
A second.
Okay, thank you. It's been properly moved by Member Freeman, properly second by Member Mitchell. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I'd just like to comment that we do not anticipate to use them a lot. We have assistant principals in every building, and we have two assistant principals at the high school. So we should be able to cover these buildings in case people are out. In the event of a serious situation, then we will use the administrators, but we don't foresee using them a lot. Last year, if you check the budget, we reduced the cost of use of substitute administrators because we changed the way the district was using them. So we do not anticipate using them a lot, but we do need them in case of serious situations.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator.
Yes. Motion passed 4-0. Item number 4, Are we doing everything? And yes, we are. Item number 4, I'm gonna ask for a consent agenda for superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action certified staff for 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4. I have a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that this board approve 4 on the agenda, consent agenda, superintendent's recommendation and presentation for board action certified staff, 4.1 employment, 4.2 employment, 4.3 employment, and 4.3 employment, 4.4 employment.
May I have a second?
I second.
Been properly moved by Member Freeman, second by Member Mitchell. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to go through 4.1 as a first grade teacher, Andrea Bishop, who taught in Canton City Schools, was a principal, and she's coming here due to the circumstance of us losing teachers at last minute. She became available. She moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and she had some issues at home, and she had to come back. So it was a great opportunity to get her to come and teach first grade. 4.2 is the employment of our EMT instructors. Again, they both have over 10 years experience. They are on personal service contracts because they only will be here for 3 periods a day. We did talk to the union about it. Next year, we will need a full-time EMT teacher because the program will have a 11th grade component and a 12th grade component. In the morning, we will have the program we have this year. The next year, the teacher will have to accompany the students to Tri-C West. So this year is just a part-time position, which we have 2 individuals based on their work schedules. We needed to have 2, but the pool of money is for the 2, and that's how we broke it down to ensure that each day we had an instructor there. There will be some additional days where more than 1 instructor needs to be there, but we don't anticipate this budget, we exceeding this budget at all. 4.3 is for a middle school football coach. Currently, we don't have a coach, so this is a new teacher who has experience in coaching at Twinsburg Middle School, and will be teaching social studies 8th grade at the middle school. 4.4 is ELL tutor. This is Ms. Robin Hill, who's served in this position for years. We do have students who do need services immediately, and this will ensure that we can assist them the first days of school.
Okay. Any other questions or comments about any of those items? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes, motion passed 4-0. Item number 5. Again, we are looking at a consent agenda for all of those items. It's going to be 5.1 through 5.7. Can I please have a motion to accept those items?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve item 5, consent agenda, superintendent's recommendation and presentation for board action classified staff, 5.1 employment, 5.2 employment, 5.3 employment, 5.4 employment, 5.5 employment, 5.6 employment, and 5.7 employment.
Okay, may I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second. Any questions or comments about any of these items?
Yes, 5.1 is substitute security officers. Curtis Blockson did.
5.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, wrong one.
Yeah, she changed it.
Sorry. 5.1 is emergency medical service. These are necessary for our football games in any event that we have these personnel available. I believe they are representation of all 3 communities. 5.2 is police officers. Again, they are needed for all of our activities to provide service. 5.3 is security. This is the hiring of a security guard as a replacement for the rec center. Last year, we were down 4 officers due to attrition and budget. We only replacing 1. Our current staffing, we believe, are at the levels they need to be, but we definitely need a full-time security guard in the rec center. This is a replacement. 5.4 is substitute cook and cashier. These three individuals were interviewed and brought to us by Jackie Thompson. And 5.5 is substitute security. Curtis Blockson worked for us last year as a substitute security guard. Chief Heady and his team interviewed, brought the recommendation of Ms. Bay to us for approval. 5.6 is substitute paraprofessionals. Ms. Rencher, who's a retired employee of Warrensville Heights City School District, is our recommendation. And 5.7 is our parent liaisons, which are paid out of the Title I funds, who brings parental support to our buildings.
Okay, and all of these are the same ones from before. I'm referring to the parent liaison?
Yes, ma'am.
No changes there?
No changes.
All right. Any,
Question, Mr. Jolly.
Yes.
You said that you're down security, but you're not going to replace them. Having substitutes, do you plan on using them frequently, or are they just going to be infrequently as well?
We plan to use them as needed when people call off. Again, last year we did use them every day. We did use them every day, and that was due to the current staffing levels were where they were, and we didn't want to upset the schools. So they were the high school was accustomed to a certain amount, and we maintained that. But this year they will be used as needed. They won't be used every day. If someone calls off, then these two are available to fill in.
isn't it typically what we do with our substitutes as needed?
Well, I
Is
think.
there- Do we have some that stay in the building on a regular basis?
Well, last year they did, due to people leaving. We had people leaving. We didn't want to commit to hiring until we did a full staff analysis to ensure that we had the right staffing levels at each school. So currently, we believe we do have the right staffing levels at school. With our middle school moving back, our 8th graders moving back to the to the middle school, Chief Heady moved the officer with him. Also, we moved the officer from the high school to the rec center, and then we'll be replacing one officer. So our current levels, we believe, are adequate to our population. I think we were a little overstaffed. We were staffed like we were in 2009, and we had half the students. So not half the students, but 300 less. So now we think we're getting the staffing levels where they need to be.
So, as far as the substitute security then, is this it for the substitute security? Do you is it just the two, or do we have more that are?
Oh, I think we will continue to look for additional people. Sometimes those two won't be available.
Okay.
I think it's good to have a big pool of people in case we need them. But at this time, the two are good enough. It's good enough to start the school year.
Okay.
Ms. Hunt does the background checks in HR.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a question for you, Mr. Jolly, and I guess you can look at last year's. We have enough officers. Let's see the list. I thought we had more last year. Or am I?
Oh, police officers.
5.2.
Okay. This is what Chief provided us.
Okay.
This is the list he provided us. I do think Chief Heady went to all three communities. The other two didn't submit any names.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thanks, Chief, appreciate it.
And looking at the list, these are the people that generally come anyway. You typically see the same ones, so we should be good.
Okay, I was just asking. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba, Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 4-0. All right. Item number 6, superintendent's recommendations and presentations for personnel and programs. I think first, we do have some items that we'll need to vote on, but we'll just kind of go through the list and let you give your explanation on those items, and then we'll let the board address any questions.
So 6.1 is a donation from the Warrensville Heights Alumni Association. They dedicated notebooks and pens for every high school student that will enter our school the first day of school. We do have a representative from the Alumni Association here who would like to say a few words about the donation.
Yay.
Step up,
Come on
Kim.
down.
Yes.
Hey, good evening, everybody. On behalf of the Alumni Association, we are indeed making a presentation of notebooks and pens for returning high school students. We anticipate welcoming our new students and scholars on the first day of school. We're still looking for participants to come in that morning and greet the students as they come in. If you check your Facebook page or on the official Warrensville Heights Alumni Association webpage, there's a sign-in sheet for if you want to participate. And thank you, and we're looking forward to good things this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just say that the Alumni Association, Warrensville Heights High School Alumni Association, is probably one of our biggest supporters. So we want to thank you guys for all that you do on behalf of the students of Warrensville. All right, so, Jolly?
Yeah, 6.2 is a settlement. The board will have to go in executive session about this settlement, but it's a settlement with a parent. 6.3 is the Ohio Schools Council. This is insurance for all of our buildings. This is the third renewal and final renewal of our insurance. Next year, it will require bidding. The insurance is offered through the Ohio Schools Council and is not required to be under a sealed bill under the Ohio Revised Code. The premium this year is less than it was last year due to a favorable insurance experience last year. Mr. Folkman did all the research on this and presented this to 6.4 is an item we discussed at our meeting in July, the Blue and Cold Academy. 3 days of professional development for our teachers, which will begin on Monday. 6.5 is best transportation. This is transportation for our special needs students who are outside of the district. There are approximately 40 students who need to be transported to 10 different locations. Mr. Black did the bidding and looked at the different proposals, and he selected the one who he believes would do the best work for us. Would you like to speak a little bit about, Mr. Black, about your decision?
Yeah, the decision, what I did, I just tried to find vendors that I had familiarity with. And
Would you
also
come down, Mr. Black? Thank you.
some vendors that I had some experience with in the past, and two of the vendors I've had experience in LT, I just had some experience since I've been here. So what I did was I had them all submit a proposal, made a generic vendor pricing, and I had them all submit the and so what I did to simplify is put the little bar graph in there so to give you an idea like who had the flattest overall best pricing, and in some areas best transportation had a higher price than others, but I think this is good pricing for us for what we do, because a lot of the students in district will try our best to transport them with our own vehicles. And then the ones that go out of district, like I said, we got a couple programs, PEP programs, as I'm learning them all. But, you know, and there's some like in Cleveland Heights, we might, depending on what when we look at everything and the school year starts, we may be able to transport them ourselves. So I think with the pricing and the amount that we did, we cut back about $5,000 compared to what we did. If you remember, we came in and had asked the board for an additional 70. So I'm thinking that should be enough. Well, I believe it'll be enough, I think. So, I mean, if you look at it, the pricing is low, so I'm pretty confident that we'll save over the long term.
Did you say you went out for bids?
Yes, I just called quotes. So
you didn't do bids, you did?
Quotes.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked them to give us quotes.
So could you just clarify why we don't have to go out for bids for this type of quotation?
I'm not sure on that one. I mean, I would.
Mr. Folkman, could you address that? Did we need to go out for sealed bids on this?
No,
Under what circumstances?
As Ohio law has progressed, and you can hear more about it, the council sitting next to me, but as Ohio law has progressed, fewer and fewer things need to be bid out as a matter of mandatory bidding. You still have to do school buses, and you still have to do permanent improvements to buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
But actual
Beyond
trans,
that, it's discretionary. Getting quotes, however, is a matter of board policy. I think that Mr. Black is satisfied.
okay.
And actually, another one vendor submitted theirs, but it was just after the fact, after I had already turned it in. But even if their pricing still was just too high, you know, anyway.
And then sometimes the pricing, like LT came in low, but sometimes the product is not the best
Yeah, the
product,
product is
even though
not the best.
it's
That's something else that
overpriced.
we looked at too. You know, when I took over from Ms. Lindsay, you know, I wasn't satisfied with the customer service piece of it. I thought we should have been getting more visits. The billing wasn't accurate. There was things that I saw that it was a red flag for me. So, you know, we just changed over. And actually, one more thing, we actually need this company, I mean, I know it's the 18th on there, but we actually need them to start on the Monday, that Monday. Because
Monday
we
the
found out there's a handful of students now that need training. It's not many, it's like maybe 3. But we need to be able to provide, and then I want to get this information to that company so that they can start preparing for this opening of school.
So we changed to the August 15th. That's due to, I know Cleveland schools start on the 15th. And a lot of the facilities we bus to are affiliated with the Cleveland School District.
And then we moved it out to cover for the school
Need
year.
a vote
because-
on it.
Okay, then there was another, because this year we had a gap, and now, so we're moving it out to the school year, August 18th. So I think that'll cover us, and then we can, you know, won't have that gap and have to come back to the board and that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
because we have to do extended year for some students. Some students have
correct.
extended
Yeah,
school year. And last year we didn't count for that, so this year we are.
Since this is a purchase service for transportation, you don't have to do a sealed competitive bids for that.
Okay.
Do we need to change the starting date?
Yes,
To what date?
this Monday, this coming.
August
August
15th.
15th is going to be
15th.
the date. Yes, sir.
6.5.
Okay. Thank
All
you
right.
very
You're
much,
welcome.
Mr. Black. We appreciate it.
Next up is 6.6. I don't believe we need a vote on this at this meeting at all. This is later. This is for testing later on in the year when we have ELL students who need to take district and state tests. So we do not need a vote on that one. 6.7 is the lease with Westwood. Mr. Folkman worked hard on that lease. Our legal team reviewed the lease. There is a change to the lease. The prior lease, Westwood, I'm sorry. The leasee was not responsible for the utilities. The board was responsible for the utilities. So now the utilities are now the responsibility of the leasee, which is the Tabernacle. So now they will pay all the utilities instead of, and what would happen in the past is that we would pay the utilities and then they would reimburse us the money. And the problem was they were falling behind in the reimbursement of the money, which was not effective for us. So Mr. Folkman, kudos to you. He got the deal adjusted so that they are responsible for paying the utilities. So now they'll be paying them. 6.8 is a trip for our football team to Kentucky. Our coach was contacted by a high school to play a game in Kentucky. The school has committed to busing us there, housing our students, and also feeding our students on the trip. This is a great experience for our students to go out of the state to experience football and to compete at a very high level. And the school district is taking care of us on our way. Our expenses should be relatively low on this trip. 6.9 is PSI partners. This group provides us assistance with our students who need assistance with reading intervention, science intervention, so forth, that are special needs. 6.10 is the ESC Rosemary Center. I got the wrong thing. Oh, I'm sorry.
You need this one?
No, I need mine. I got mine. Then these are students. Every year we have students who are artistic that we can't we can't educate within our district. We don't have the capabilities. So these students go to these different locations for services. Also, 6.10 is one. Currently, we have one scholar at the Rosemary Center. 6.11 is the Achievement Centers. We have 2 scholars attending there who are artistic. The price tag is very high, but that is the cost that it entails to educate these students. 6.12 is the Educational Service Center. And these are services that the district needs for our special needs students. Due to our size, we cannot hire all these different people, so we contract with the ESC to provide us services at a pay-as-we-go basis. 6.13 is Believers Academy. The Believers Academy is a place we use for the alternative to expulsion. Last year, the district made a commitment not to expel our students, but to give them an alternative to expulsion. This is a place where students go, where they still receive their education, so they never lose education, but they are outside of the setting of the school. So if they do commit a serious infraction, they are not at the school for whatever the period of days at where they normally would have been expelled. They go here and they still receive an education. That's based on experience. When you put a kid out for 80 days or you put a kid out for 20 days and they get no education, it really puts them behind. They end up failing the grade, and then they end up dropping out in a lot of cases. So this is our effort to ensure that all our kids have a continuous education, even if they do things that's not good, that we're still educating them. They do deal with their behavior there also, so they do address their behavior. And we haven't had any student that went there that came back and got expelled again. So last year we had good data with using the Believers Academy.
How many students did you have there?
Last year I think we sent about 7 or 8. Last year was about 7 last year. The year before they sent 21. Yeah, they sent 21. Last year we sent 7, but they didn't use it the same way the year before. I mean, they used it as if a kid was acting up in school or something, they didn't really want them there, they sent them there. But what we did is that we didn't. If we deal with them here, we try to address them here. But if they did something that's expellable, then we sent them there. So last year it was about 7 or 8 students that went there. From middle schools, I think it was 2 middle school students that went, and the rest were high school. We had 6.14, which is the Jewish Children's Bureau, Monarch. Currently, we have 2 scholars there. This is, again, extensive autistic students that are nonverbal. And as you can see, it costs a lot of money to educate these young people. 6.15 is Positive Education Program, which is PEP.
Mr. Charlie, can I interrupt you real quick? So with all of these schools that have the autistic students, do we have a say in where they go? Who determines which school they go to?
I'm about to defer to Ms. Lindsay on that one.
Okay. Okay. So certain schools can deal better with the students' disabilities? Okay.
So, for the community years ago, these students normally, when they attended our schools, they would have attended the MMRD schools. And then in about mid-2000s, they sent them back to the school districts. So when they send them back to the school districts, now the school districts have to educate them. And now these other places have came up to educate the students. So 25 years ago, these students would never even attended Warrensville schools. We would have been responsible for them, but they would have went. There used to be one on Green Road, so they would have went to Green Road and went there. But now when the county closed them, now they come back home to us. So that's why we have to send them out somewhere that can educate them. 6.15 is PEP, Project Education Program. We had a student transfer in, 2 students transferred in at the end of the school year that had to go, that were already in the program, and they came to us. So we didn't allocate for them, so we need the additional funds. This happens quite often. Parents kids get in foster care and move, and they come to the district, and they already be in these programs, and we didn't know they were coming, and then we get a bill because they transfer the distance of the district residents to us. 6.16 is the agreement with the St. Clairville Richmond School District. This is to provide services for students who are in court-placed students. So these are students who are incarcerated. We don't know how many. We don't have a clue, but we wanted to make sure we had the funds to be able to pay for them. Because as they go to court, they assign them, and then we get the bill. 6.17 is the same with the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. This is housed at the juvenile court. They have a school there. So if a kid goes to court and they get, and they keep them, then we're responsible for their education. That's the same with 6.18, which is the Glen Mill School. Again, those are court-placed students that we're responsible for. 6.19 is the same. These are students who get court-placed. And then 6.20 is a emergency elevator resolution based upon the elevator that was down at the end of this hallway was broke. There was an emergency repair done in which we had to replace the cylinder at the cost of $44,000.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
now these kids that are court placed, is that from last year or this year?
These are for this school year coming up.
So they don't tell you how many kids it is, they just send you a bill and say pay it?
It's in a bill. So as the school year goes and kids get in trouble or go to court, they send them to these various places.
They're supposed to tell you a number.
Right? They don't, because
Not the name, I didn't say
Right.
the name, I said the number.
like currently, if we don't know what's going to happen at the court. So if something happened in June, then the judge will assign them to any of these various places. When they assign them, then they send us the bill. At that point, at this point, we don't know who's there, but we do get the bill. So we're trying to prevent a then and now by putting the PO in place so that we're not paying for it after the fact, that we already have the funds allocated. So when they send us the bill, we got it. And it's important, we have a case right now where we just resolved the case with dealing with educating students in facilities, a major case, that we had these in place. So, and part of that case involved us not knowing who was incarcerated. So we got cited because we didn't know the person was incarcerated and we couldn't provide them services. So Ms. Lindsay just completed a plan to ensure that we do this, but these resolutions are simply to ensure that we cover them and we don't get then and nows.
Proactive, if you don't know who they are, as of now, you have none.
We have none,
Okay,
just
okay.
in case. If the money if we don't get the kids don't go there, then we don't spend the money. But we just doing
We're
it just
establishing our budget based on historical.
historical.
And last year, we did get a couple of then and nows for this. So,
Okay.
yeah, we did get some then and nows.
So Mrs. Lindsay's looking at the prior history of this and establishing a budget for this year.
But I will say we cut it like all this in half because it was, when I came, it was over 2.4 million that they were putting in these accounts. And we cut it in half because, I mean, just looking at the data, looking at the numbers, and we just don't think we should allocate that amount of money to this, but we do know we have to, because we have no control over where they go. I mean, where the judge decides to send them, and a lot of times it's where they commit the crime at, is where they send them to these different places.
Okay.
And I think sometimes, aren't they court-placed based on guardianship, too? Is that, am I correct?
That I don't.
So that's another
Right.
court-placed one that could be by guardianship.
But a lot of times they come, and we don't even know they transferred here, you know, foster care and so forth. So we just got to make sure we cover it.
All right.
So we are requesting a vote on
Oh, and if I could just add, on the elevator repair, that's through the state bid, through the consortium. So we don't have to, that one, we don't have to go to competitive bidding. It's already been bid through the consortium.
This particular item, this cylinder, has already been bid through the, okay, so this must be a common item that goes out on elevators then. Okay.
So we're asking for a vote on 6-1, the donation, so that our scholars can receive. 6.2 we will come back to.
Vote.
Yeah, that's late. 6.3, the insurance. 6.4, blue and gold. And 6.5, the transportation.
All right, so I would like to ask for a motion to accept item 6.1, 6.3, 6.4, and 6.5. And with 6.5, we want to make
Dates.
sure that we get the date corrected so that it reads beginning August 15, 2016 through August 18, 2017. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve item 6 on the agenda, superintendent's recommendation and presentations for personnel and programs. 6.1, 6.3, 6.4, and 6.5 with a change in dates, starting August 15th, 2016 to August 15th, 2017.
Thank you. May I have a second?
A second.
Been properly moved by Member Freeman, properly second by Member Mitchell. Any other questions or comments about any of the items before we vote? Hearing none, Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba? Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes, motion passed 4-0. All right, we are moving right along to item number 7, committee reports under unfinished business. Do we have any committee reports?
We do, Madam Chair.
All right, the floor is yours.
The Community Engagement Committee has been busily working with Mr. Jolly and Coach Swift to develop our first annual Tiger Pride community-wide pep rally and cookout. The event will start at 4 p.m. on April 18th with a cookout. August 18th.
I always do.
With a cookout where we're inviting the community to come out and, just celebrate and get ready for the new school year. From there, we will begin to recognize our scholars at 6 p.m. with a very exciting pep rally. With our fall athletes, National Honors, Society Honors, Merit, it's a host of children that will be celebrated in front of our community. And we've developed this in hopes of getting some excitement about the coming school year and to kick off Warrensville's home days. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, we invited over 400 students, honor roll, perfect attendance. We looked at a variety of different criteria, so we have more student involvement. Based on the recommendation of Member Elba, we will be giving away school supplies at the pep rally. Also, we'll have fire trucks there. We'll have a DJ, line dancing, giveaways. It should be a great event. Bouncy House also will be there. Hot dogs, food, music. We also have a fitness trainer that will be there. He's going to do a boot camp on the end zone. Alumni. His name is Juan Tony. So we have alumni coming. We have a lot of people. So we just hope that the weather holds up and we're able to have our first annual cookout and pep rally.
And also, I believe, our pupil services, Mrs. Rudolph, you're having registration that day, I believe?
Yes, we'll have a registration page there about information related to the school and registration of parents and so forth. We also have open registration for opening up and day of meetings and running all day.
And I did want to recognize Ms. Rudolph's department on registration. They've registered, as of 2 days ago, they registered 81 students.
Ooh, all right.
On the downside, we have 40 who left, but they moved to other places. They moved, but we up 40 students with registration at this point. And I think how many did y'all register today? 36 today? So she registered 36 today. So I just to share with the community that people are coming to us. Yesterday at the middle school, meet the principal, I met 3 parents and new students from different communities that came to our middle school, and they're looking for an exciting school year. So people coming. We just got to continue to work hard, ensure they got great education here.
Yeah, and in addition to that, we need to make sure that we're putting the word out there about all the great programs and the great things that are going on in the district. You know, as board members, we want to make sure that we're dispelling the rumors, and we are the biggest cheerleaders for everything that's going on in the district. So, kudos to the Community Engagement Committee. I think it's going to be a great event. I think there's going to be, I'm expecting there to be a great turnout. So, thank you guys for the hard work that you put in. Oh, that's right. Yes, thank you.
4:30.
Yeah, you want to stand up and,
Tell your name.
this is our new communications director, coordinator.
That's
Yeah.
coordinator.
Hello, my name is Alexia Harris. I'm the communications coordinator for the district. On August 18th, which is the same day as the cookout and pep rally, we will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Warrensville Heights City School District and Cuyahoga Community College Health Academy. The ribbon cutting ceremony will take place at 4:30 inside the high school. So it'll take place at the same time as the cookout, but if you could come inside and see that, the students who are participating in the Health Academy or the Medical Academy, they'll also be receiving their lab coats. So it's a very special time for them as well. So,
I have a question, real quick question. So have we reached out to news and how have we
so I'll be
advertised this?
working with Tri-C to do that.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, very good. All right, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
And could you also state the next dates for the registration, open registration? I know you threw out a couple of dates. August 18th is the next one? Okay, and that's open registration from what hours?
8 to 11:30 and 1 to 3:30, all day prior to the pep rally.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, any other committee reports? Member Freeman, no committee reports today?
No reports from me.
Okay. What I would like to say about the committee reports, some discussion about this. When reports are being completed, I would like to ask, I believe you have someone from your staff or the treasurer's office that's establishing a letterhead.
Yes.
We want to start having the minutes uploaded on the website and prior to the meeting, so that way you can take the time to give a brief overview and we can let the community know that the minutes will be uploaded as well. So someone will be designing a standard letterhead for us to use for the minutes, and the minutes will be uploaded prior to the meeting, starting with the next meeting. I see you shaking your head. Does that sound fair? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so 7.2 is policy revision, second reading. And again, this is the 1240 and 1330. This is basically stating that we are going to be doing evaluations for the superintendent and the treasurer at least annually. So this is the second reading. We will vote on it at the next meeting. Any questions or comments? All right. So 7.3 is a strategic planning update. We had our first strategic planning meeting where we went over our vision and our mission. We had a mixture of 10 or 11 different people involved in that process. The next one that we have will be August 23rd, and it will be much more inclusive. We'll have, we've invited approximately 23 community members, business leaders, staff members, council, to help us with the next portion of it. So the dates are August 23rd, September 15th, and October 10th. So we'll have 3 more sessions for the strategic planning, and this is a big deal for us, right?
Right.
What was that?
We didn't vote on the Blue and Gold Academy.
Oh, we didn't.
I don't think we
Did
did.
We left it off. No, we need to vote on it.
Did we leave it off?
Was that 6.3? What was it? Vote for it. 6.3.
Did we,
No, we voted on 6.4.
6-1. Hold on. Blue and gold was 6-4,
6-4? Okay.
right? Yeah, so we did.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we did. You good?
Okay, I'm good. We missed it twice, though. I will make sure we get it this time. Thank you.
No problem. So anyway, strategic planning is, this is big for us because this is our blueprint for how we are going to get the job done, our return to excellence over the next 5 years.
5 years.
So we want to thank all of the community members that are going to be involved in it and staff members, because this is exactly what we need to move things forward. So again, those dates are, and we do have some of our committee members here. Councilman Howard is going to be at the next meeting. Councilman Booker, did they reach out to you? You're getting a phone call. Yeah. So if possible. We have members from the library, the mayor's office.
WEA.
WEA will be sitting in on it.
OC will be invited also.
Yes, so we have 23 people.
Yeah, we
did
have
reach out to
parents.
parents.
We
We
have-
did not get your parents' name. We need her.
Mistake.
Did you get it?
Should be reached out to.
Oh, okay.
No invitations have been sent yet, but they'll be sent.
So we have, at any rate, it's gonna be a long process, 3-hour sessions for the next, we have nine hours left to go, but, it'll be a good session, something we need to do. So I wanna thank everybody for agreeing to participate and assist us in this way. We have nothing under new business. Do we have any correspondence?
No, but there's just I wanted to canvass the board to ask if anybody's interested in the NSBA conference in Denver in March.
Is it in March already? Yeah,
And I could send that out to the
yeah, if you
rest.
would,
I'd like to
yeah.
go back home. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Denver,
like to go see my boy. Yeah, I'm going.
All right, we typically do go to the NSBA conference. So yeah, I don't think they've opened up registration yet. Maybe they have, I don't know.
I don't think.
opens October 12th.
Right.
Okay, all right,
We're just being proactive with the notice that we received.
okay, thank you. So our upcoming board meetings, the next regular meeting is August 25th, and as we mentioned before, our next strategic planning session is August 23rd. Informational meeting is September 8th. Before we go to the next item, which is executive session, I would first like to ask Saida, would you take a minute to just tell us about your trip to, was it China?
Yes.
Yeah, so Saida, you're a senior this year, right?
Yes.
Going to be a senior this year, and she went to China. I know it's kind of, throwing you out there a little bit, but just, you can give us a little bit about how your trip was.
Do you have to use the mic?
Yes.
And can you speak, can you
can take
project
it off.
loudly?
Take it off the stand. Go ahead.
Okay, can everyone see me? Okay, well, that was, okay, so, good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Okay, my name is Saida Terrence. I am a rising senior in Warrensville Heights High School, and I also attend Tri-C. Yes, this year I went to China in July. I left July 15th? I left July 15th from the airport, and it was a great experience. The flight was long, but they had movies on the plane, so it was cool. And it was my first time being on a plane since I was 3 years old. So it was a 12-hour flight.
Wow.
I left from this airport to Detroit, and then from Detroit to Beijing. And it was really nice. It was really hot. It was really hot. But it was cool. I met a lot of other kids from the greater Cleveland area, from Marcia Fudge's district. And I met cool kids from Shaw. I had to tell them that our band was better. Yeah. And I met cool kids from Kinston and the School of the Arts and just everywhere. And we really melded really well together. We learned Chinese and Kunming. We went to various shops. People took a lot of pictures of us. Some people touched my hair. It was cool. I know how to use chopsticks really well. But it was a great experience. We went to various theaters and saw different shows about the minorities in China, the Bai people, the Mosu people, and how they live and how they've evolved over the years and different things like that. But I had a great trip. I made a lot of friends. I told some of them to come to Summerfest so that they could see how we do in Warrensville. I don't know what else. What else should I talk about? Oh. Yes, I was in Beijing for 4 days. Well, actually 5. One of our flights was delayed. And then from there, we went to Kunming. And Kunming is, on a map, it looks this close to Vietnam. And it's a little bit more tropical. We were there for 9 days.
Wow.
And then after that, we went back to Beijing. And then we stayed there a day. And then our flight was delayed for 3 hours. When we were waiting at the airport, a lot of parents were worried. One of the brakes overheated on our plane, so we couldn't take off. And then one of the left engine had some problems, so we were delayed. So a lot of parents were nervous. Yeah. Yeah. Now that I talk about it, it's fine, because I'm here. But it was different. Also, we didn't go across the Pacific Ocean. When we left Detroit, we went through Canada and through Alaska, then we went down through Russia to get to Beijing, and then we did the same thing coming back. So I had a great time.
Okay.
There was a lot of food. I know how to use chopsticks and say a little in Chinese. Ni hao, wajao saida, woshi go hao chun. I'm a high school student. Just different things. It was nice.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so maybe we can get some pictures from you. We can share them with our communications director, and once you get settled. So thank you. We do need to make a motion to go into executive session. 11.1. The board will be voting when we come out of executive session. But can I please have a motion to go into executive session? That's 11.1.
Madam Chair, I move that this board go into an executive session. Actually, go into consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official or regulated individual, students, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee or regulated individual. To discuss with legal counsel matters required to be kept confidential and subject to attorney-client privilege.
Okay, may I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second. Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 4-0. I want to thank everyone for coming out. As I mentioned before, I see Councilman Booker, Councilman